What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Dude Hine Show. And holy crap, after a very interesting game going in, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens, whoever wins this game is going to be first place in the AFC North. And the Bengals win this game really surprised everybody here. I mean, we're going to talk about it, go through, quarters and recaps and stuff like that. But, not many people expected us to win this game. I thought it was going to be closer than people expected. Normally, even Bengal fans expect the Bengals to win some games. So this is one of those games, I mean, you're kind of hesitant to pick us because the Baltimore Ravens are just so good right now. The Baltimore Ravens were the only team in the AFC with only one loss on the season. They're first place in the AFC, they're first place in the AFC North. And, it is absolutely crazy that we're able to pull off this victory here. This was a really, really great game through really the first half. It was one possession pretty much the whole, time the first half. And then, we kind of pulled away towards the end of the third quarter. Looking at it here, we won 41-17. That is crazy. This was the first time ever that Lamar Jackson lost as a starting quarterback in the month of October. I believe it was 9-0 as a starter in October. The Baltimore Ravens defense held the Chargers last week to just 6 points. Evan McPherson, our kicker, had more than 6 points just by himself. This was an amazing performance by us. This was I believe this is the biggest victory we've ever had against the Baltimore Ravens. This was just a great game. And, I posted on Instagram a couple of days ago, and, that actually today, earlier today, this was going to be a great game, but it comes down to coaching. And, there's times Zach Taylor, he has been more consistent this season than in years prior. And, this past first season, it was very inconsistent. Lots of people want him fired, including myself. This game today, really proved that Taylor is the right guy. It's kind of painful for me to say that, especially, for me to be one of the people who, is against Taylor. But, I'll finally admit that I'm wrong. And I'm really, really glad that I'm wrong because I wanted to be wrong the whole time. And, Taylor is making this team look absolutely great right now. You can make a case. We're already we're number one in the AFC North, but we're also number one in the AFC. And you can make a case that our record should be better, and honestly it should be because we only had 3 points going into the fourth quarter against the Chicago Bears. We nearly possibly could have pulled a victory out of there, a comeback victory. We really should have beat the Packers a couple weeks ago, so that's another win. This is just amazing how good we are playing right now. This is the best football we have played at least since 2015, in my opinion. 2018, we started off hot, but this team is just so much better, really at all phases of the game. It is crazy how good this game was. This was the best performance we've seen from the Bengals, at least in my opinion, in at least 4 or 5 years. This was the most surprising victory in a very long time. Last season we played the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was a huge, upset. Nobody picked us to win that game. And, obviously we're able to beat Pittsburgh on Monday last year. But, the part of the reason we won is because the Steelers, sucked in that game. They weren't good at that time period. Right now, the Ravens, some people call them the best team in the NFL. Lots of people call them the best team, not only in the AFC North, but in the AFC. And we dismantled them, in the second half. We put up 41 points against this Baltimore Ravens defense. If you're just now tuning in, kind of recapping, the game and everything. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I would really, really, really appreciate it. I post content, several times a week and everything like that. Talk about the Bengals whenever I can. Just looking at this game here, 41-17. Joe Burrow, he started off 5 of 12. He finished, 23 of 38 for only 416 passing yards. It was absolutely phenomenal. Burrow was lights out the second half. 3 touchdowns, a pick. That one pick, it kind of looked like he was trying to throw it away. There was lots of pressure. It was one of those plays where he was just trying to hurry up and, have the play call instead of having a delayed game. And, Burrow was only sacked once. That was towards the end of the game where it was a 2-possession game. This offensive line, there were some times, we really could have had a better offensive line. Burrow was scrambling at times, but then there were other times the offensive line played pretty decent. One sack against this Baltimore Ravens defense is amazing, considering last year when Joe Burrow played this Ravens team. This Bengals team only had 3 points last year in Burrow's only game against Baltimore, and I believe Burrow was sacked 6 or 7 times. This offensive line, there was times it was inconsistent, but overall I thought it played great considering when you're playing one of the best defenses in the league in the Baltimore Ravens. This was just an overall amazing game here, by the Bengals. Burrow passing touchdowns. Burrow is now the only quarterback in the NFL to throw for at least 2 touchdowns in every single game. He was tied with Patrick Mahomes, and obviously we saw how just embarrassing the Chiefs were today against the Tennessee Titans. I think the Chiefs only scored 3 points that game. The Titans just humiliated the Chiefs. And, this game here, Mixon, he wasn't great rushing. He had 12 carries for about 60 yards. Picked it up some in the second half. And it was one of those games like you might be wanting Mixon to carry the ball more so we can kind of take time off the clock when it was a close possession game at the time. But at the same time, when your passing game is on points, when Joe Burrow is throwing for over 400 yards, it doesn't matter what you're doing. When you're putting up that type of numbers and when you're scoring, it seemed at some points, just like every single possession, you got to keep the ball in Burrow's hands and just, let him cook and give the ball to, throw the ball to Boyd or Higgins or, Chase or even Uzama. Uzama, stepped up a big again today. And, Mixon had a 21-yard rush. P. Ryan also had a 46-yard rush to pretty much, seal the deal. It was 34-17. P. Ryan has a, 46-yard rushing touchdown with about 5 or 6 minutes left. This was a fantastic game just by everything with us. It is insane. Like, if you were to tell me that this Bengals team, okay, let's go back to week 2 against the Chicago Bears. We put up 3 points in 3 quarters against the Chicago Bears defense. We lost to Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. 5 weeks later, you're going to tell me that the Bengals are going to put up 41 points against the Baltimore Ravens defense. And at this moment, heading into this game, like I've said before, many people believe Baltimore was the best team in the AFC. Some people think they're even the best team in the NFL. And we humiliate them on their home field. There was times Zach Taylor outcoached Jim Harbaugh. That is crazy. And, John Harbaugh. I cannot believe this amazing performance by us. Jamar Chase, proving why he's Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's on pace, not being biased. It's just facts. So look up the stats and everything like that. Jamar Chase is on pace to be the best rookie receiver in NFL history, and it's not even close. He has the most receiving yards in the first 7 games for a rookie receiver in NFL history. He's on pace to, break the, receiving yards record for a rookie. Plus, he gets that extra game, week 17. CJ Uzama stepped up once again. Thursday Night Football against the Jaguars, he had lots of yards. He had 2 touchdowns, and he had, 91 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. Both of his touchdowns were very, very big. His one touchdown was 55 yards. The other one, I believe, was about 30 or 40 or so. T. Higgins. Well, when this game started, Burrow, it seemed like he was only throwing to T. Higgins. And when he started to spread the ball around more to Uzama or Chase or Boyd, whoever it may be, that's when our offense really got going. It's just crazy. Like, CJ Uzama, the most receiving touchdowns he's had in the season was 3. He already believe he has 5 this year. It is insane. He stepped up big this year. Definitely one of the more surprising players for us this year. It is mind-boggling how great this offense is when we get everybody involved and when Zach Taylor's coaching is on point, and it was certainly on point today. And, Higgins, like I said, he had lots of targets to start this game. 7 receptions for 62 yards. Boyd had a couple catches, 4 catches for 39 yards. And P. Ryan also had 1 reception for 23 yards. So offensive-wise, you cannot ask for a better performance for this, Bengals offense. We scored 41 points against a top 6 team and defense in the NFL. And Joe Burrow also threw a pick in the end zone. So who's to say we don't score more points on that drive too? I mean, the Ravens held the Chargers to just 6 points last week. At that time, Justin Herbert was the MVP candidate. And now we score 41 points. That is mind-boggling. I mean, this Baltimore defense, despite losing Matthew Judon to the Patriots, despite losing Marcus Peters to a season-ending injury, is still very, very talented. I mean, I cannot believe how good our offense was. I cannot believe, Zach Taylor. And I'm very impressed with him. This is without a doubt the best game, the most important game of his career. I posted earlier he would have to have the best game coaching wise of his career. That is exactly what you did. I don't know what more you can want from Taylor, honestly. Going forward on 4th and 1, I believe in the first quarter, very risky call. I'm all for going on 4th down, but at that field position, that early in the game, I don't know if I would have done that call. We do it and we get it. Great game plan by Taylor. Lou Anamaro in this defense, very, very great. I mean, last season, this Bengals defense had 17 sacks on the year. We've played 7 games, and we already have more than 17 sacks this season. Sam Hubbard had 2.5 sacks. Larry Ogunjobi had 1.5 sacks. Let's see here. Trey Hendrickson had 5 sacks in this game. All the quarterbacks in the NFL, 100%, without a doubt, it's not up for debate. Lamar Jackson is the most difficult quarterback in the NFL to sack because he's so explosive. He could run out of the pocket and scramble and everything like that. And the fact that we're able to sack him 5 times, that is just absolutely just insane. We had 8 tackles for loss. Logan Wilson, he had 7 tackles. Like I said, Ogunjobi had 1.5 sacks. He's proving why that contract, we signed him for a 1-year deal. He's been great with that contract so far. Been one of the better players on our defensive line. Sam Hubbard, couple of tackles for loss, couple of sacks. Hendrickson, another sack. He has 6.5 sacks on the season. Really looking like he's worth that, big money we paid him in the offseason. And, going to this Baltimore offense now. Lamar Jackson was 15 to 31. He's this amazing quarterback. He's throwing for so many yards. You see Jackson throw for 400 yards against Indianapolis. That's crazy and all that stuff. But he can't even throw for 50% against the Bengals defense. Look at Lamar Jackson. I've said this for years. If you make Lamar Jackson throw to win a game and tight window throws, different things like that, he cannot do it. I'm so happy about this, how we were able to pull off this victory against them. There were several plays, probably 4 or 5 different plays. We gave up, wide open plays for completions to Lamar Jackson, to his receivers. And, aside from that, we were really able to contain Jackson for the most part of the game. He had 257 passing and a passing touchdown. Rushing wise, we weren't really able to contain him like we were in the first meeting last season. The first meeting against Baltimore, we only held him to just 3 rushing yards. This time he had 88. This was a tremendous performance. You take away that Marquise Brown 39-yard receiving touchdown. We played really good. There were several times, maybe a player was wide open just because of the Baltimore scheme. That's how they play. There's a receiver wide open every single play, whether it's a deep post or crossing routes or whatever it may be. But this is just a amazing performance by the Cincinnati Bengals. Anything else? We only had 1 penalty. I feel like that's not being talked about at all. When you have 1 penalty and you're going up against the Baltimore Ravens, who, like I've said, are one of the best teams in the NFL. Lots of people said they're the best team in the AFC. Some say the NFL. When you have 1 penalty and you're that disciplined and you play that good against a great opponent like Baltimore, that proves that you're more likely in that game. And the 1 penalty that we had, it was garbage time basically. We were already up 20 points or something like that. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I like this video. I would really, really appreciate it. Kind of talking about the recap with the just shocking victory of the Bengals defeating the Baltimore Ravens. And this is just, I still cannot comprehend this. This is insane. I really feel like people need to start talking about, are the Bengals the best team, not only in the AFC North, but in the AFC. As crazy as that sounds, I feel like they have to be at least top three. I mean, look at the teams in the AFC that really stand out. I would have said the Chargers, but after last week, I mean, you take them out of the equation. I'm not going to put Baltimore up there because we humiliated them on their home field. Um, in this game, there was Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. There was this MVP candidate for a quarterback, and he was supposed to show up. And if you didn't know any better, you think the MVP candidate was Joe Burrow. I mean, he definitely outplayed Lamar Jackson without a doubt. I really think Burrow needs to start being in the MVP conversation, not top 3 or top 5. I would say top 10. Once again, I'm not trying to be biased, but I said earlier, Joe Burrow is the only quarterback in the NFL to pass for at least 2 passing touchdowns in every single game. We have the best record in the AFC North. The AFC North is the best division in football right now, easily. We also have the best record in the AFC, just the conference in general. That is, I cannot believe this. But very excited about this win. And the next couple of games we have the Jets, I believe, in New York. Very winnable game. And then I believe we play Cleveland at home. The way Cleveland's playing right now, go ahead and mark that down as a win. I'm not trying to be overconfident, but, I mean, Baker Mayfield isn't playing good. Joe Burrow is playing like the best quarterback in the division. I know that might be debatable. I would say it certainly is. This Bengals team is the best team in the division right now. It's crazy to say. We have 2 very winnable games with the Jets and, an injured, Browns team the following week. We don't know the, health-wise of Baker Mayfield, how he's going to perform. But we are 5-2, sitting on top of the AFC North and the AFC. Potentially going to be 6-2, basically the halfway mark of the NFL season. This is crazy. Like I said before, I was very kind of skeptical of Taylor, the first 2 seasons, even the first couple games this year, especially Chicago. Today just really sealed the deal for me that he is going to be our guy. I don't, at this point, I don't see how you can deny that. I mean, I kind of tried for the longest time to deny it, but today just really sealed the deal. I mean, we a very impressive win in Baltimore. We've had wins in Baltimore, a win in Baltimore by 24 points, the most we've ever beat Baltimore. We had a win in Pittsburgh. I know Pittsburgh's down by 14 points. That's the most we beat Pittsburgh in like 20 years or something crazy. We went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the NFL in the Green Bay Packers. We beat the Vikings, who are much better than their record indicates. And we are one of the best teams in the NFL. People need to get that through their head. People need to stop, disrespecting us. We are a top 3 team in the AFC right now. I would put us up there with the Titans and probably the Bills. You can make a case we might be one of those teams. I don't know. After today's performance, you could make a good case for it. And I just cannot believe we are first place in the AFC with, Zach Wilson got hurt today against the Patriots. So we don't know if he's going to play next week when we go up against the New York Jets. But that really about does it. I really appreciate all you all watching. Once again, like I said, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you all next time on the Sports Dude Hines Show.